If you walk out that door tonight, don't come back. That's what I said. Calm. Not loud. Not angry. Just the fact. Just calm enough for her to know I meant every word. She blinked. Twice. High heels frozen on hardwood. One hand holding her purse, the other wrapped around her phone like it was some kind of lifeline. "Excuse me," she asked, like she hadn't heard me. Like maybe I misspoke. But I didn't repeat it. I just watched her. Watched her eye twitch. Watched her pupils bounce as she weighed her options. Watched her pretend she still had leverage. "You're seriously doing this now," she said, glancing at the clock. "I have a meeting. Ryan's waiting." "Then he can keep waiting," I replied. "You go out. We're done." She scoffed. "You know the kind, that performative, role-based breath women give when they're trying to make you look like the crazy one." "Paul, this is work." "You wore heels to work?" I said. "Perfume? A dress that wasn't even in the closet yesterday?" That made her pause. Only for a second. Then the defense kicked in. "This dinner is important. Ryan's introducing me to investors. He's trying to open doors for both of us." Both of us. That was the line. That's when I knew it was past saving. "There's no us in this," I said. "Not if you go." She stared at me, and in that half-second of silence, I saw it. Not guilt. Not fear. Just calculation. Like a chess player about to sacrifice a piece. "You'll understand one day," she said quietly. "This is about ambition. It's about being more than some middle-class couple playing house." She turned the handle. "It's about the life we deserve." And then she walked out. No kiss. No pause. Just heels on wood and the soft click of the door. She didn't see the camera in the entryway. Didn't know the mic in her purse was already recording. Didn't realize I'd known for weeks. This wasn't about catching her. It was about letting her catch herself. Because this wasn't a betrayal. It was a slow coup. A 3-month strategy disguised as career growth and networking dinners. And I let it happen. I watched it unfold. Because sometimes, when someone's that desperate to bury themselves, you just hand them the shovel. It was a Thursday night. I remember because I always cooked Thursdays. Pasta. My specialty. Sauce from scratch. Wine breathing before she even walked in. She came home late. Not stuck in traffic, late. Lingering on purpose, late. Rebecca stepped through the door like she was arriving at a stage queue, not a home. New dress. New lipstick. And that perfume I'd only smelled once before at our anniversary dinner 2 years ago. "Hey," she said. Didn't kiss me. Just tossed her bag on the stool and poured herself a glass. "Rough day?" I asked. "Exhausting," she exhaled, pulling her heels off. "But productive. You missed your gym class." "Ryan and I got drinks after work," she said, like it was nothing. "Just that. No warning. No, I'm gonna be late. Just Ryan and I got drinks." I let it sit for a moment. Didn't know Ryan drank. "It was for strategy," she replied. "He's bringing me into a new pitch." She didn't look at me when she said it. She looked at her phone. We sat down to eat. I barely touched the pasta. She was scrolling, sipping, texting. "What's the pitch?" I asked. The thing Ryan's bringing you into." She glanced up. Smiled like I was a sweet kid asking about her work. "Big picture stuff. High-level expansion. You wouldn't get it." Then back to her phone. That was the moment. Right there. Not when she walked out days later. Not even when I caught her. Right there, when she chose condescension over connection. "He's really helping you a lot lately," I said carefully. She looked up again. "He sees my potential. You should be happy for me." "I am. Just surprised how fast it's happening. It's called ambition, Paul. You should try it." That one stung. Because I've worked for everything we had. I paid for her grad school. Took on extra shifts when she launched that startup. Held the house down when she traveled for conferences that were really just expensive excuses to dress up and post from hotel lobbies. But sure, I'm the guy without ambition. I cleared the plates. She didn't offer to help. On her way upstairs, she paused. "There's a dinner next week. Ryan wants me to meet a few angel investors. Might be big. And I'm invited?" She smiled. Small. Cold. "It's work, Paul." Then she disappeared down the hallway. That was the night something inside me shifted. I didn't rage. Didn't accuse. I just watched. Because if she was going to burn this down for Ryan, I'd let her light the match. And then I'd make sure everyone saw the fire. The next week, I started watching her. Not obsessively. Not like a man unraveling. Just differently. I stopped listening to what she said and started watching what she did. She'd always been stylish. But this was a shift. Skirts shorter. Heels sharper. New earrings, new phone case, new nails, a glossy nude pink she used to call interview color. I didn't say anything. I just noted the timestamps. Her perfume changed. Not the stuff I bought her for her birthday, the musky, elegant kind. Now it was something floral, faint, sweet. One night she walked past me in the hallway, and I caught a trace of it. New scent. I asked. She didn't break stride. Samples from the office. Might use it for the next campaign. She didn't look back. The phone became an extra limb. She used to scroll with me on the couch. Now it was tilted screens and half whispers in the hallway. Once, I asked who she was texting. Just the team. Ryan wants a late-night push on the mock-ups. At 11:30 p.m.? That's how leaders work, babe. They don't clock out. Babe. Funny how someone can say something they've always said, and suddenly it feels foreign. Forced. And then came the slip. Tuesday night. She walked in late. I was already in bed. She went straight to the closet, heels clicking quietly across the floorboards. I heard her unzip something. Long night? I asked. Ryan, and I stayed late. Big deck due tomorrow. I sat up slowly. You stayed at the office? So what's the hotel room key doing in your purse? Her hand froze for just a second. Then she slid the key into a drawer. That was from last week. I forgot it was in there. She didn't make eye contact. Didn't offer more? Ryan work from hotels now? Sometimes it's easier to work without distractions. Then she turned the light off. Just like that. No argument. No denial. Just a full shutdown. I laid awake that night staring at the ceiling, thinking one thing. She thinks I'm a fool. Not because she's clever, but because I've made it too easy to lie. The next morning, I took her bag from the counter while she was in the shower. Not to dig. To plant. A mic. Quarter-sized. Thin. Voice-activated. Sync straight to an app on my phone. Because if she was going to live a double life, I wanted a front-row seat. The mic was the size of a bottle cap. Voice-activated. 12-hour battery. Sync through Bluetooth to a discreet app called WhisperLock, the kind of tool you don't find unless you're looking for it. And I'd been looking. I slid it into the zippered side pocket of her tan leather bag. The one she always brought to strategy dinners. Same bag that carried her backup charger, mints, powder compact, and now, a spy. She didn't notice. She was too busy curling her hair, half humming a song she'd never listened to until Ryan added it to a shared playlist. I recognized it. Some lo-fi jazz remix he'd posted on his Instagram story the week before. Got a late one tonight? I asked, sipping coffee at the kitchen island. Yeah, she said, glancing at her phone. Probably won't be back till midnight. Another pitch? Last-minute prep for tomorrow's board call. Ryan wants a sharp. She didn't look up. She was wearing lipstick again. The deep, dramatic red she always said was too much for everyday wear. As soon as the door closed behind her, I opened the app. The signal pinged strong. I watched her location update on the map, first to the freeway, then a turn I didn't expect. Not toward the office. Not toward the investor dinner she mentioned the night before. She was headed to the Westmont Hotel. 10 minutes later, the app auto-switched to audio. Voice detected. I turned my phone sideways and hit record. Rebecca. Hey, you beat me here. Male voice, Ryan. Smug, smooth. The kind of tone you want to punch. Ryan. I ordered the wine. Figured we'd skip the corporate talk tonight. Rebecca. Laughs, dangerous. I brought the deck, though. Just in case. Ryan. You really think I called you here for pitch decks? Asterisk pause. Footsteps. The sound of a coat dropping. A kiss. Too long to be friendly. Rebecca. Whispers, we should be careful. Ryan. Then don't moan like that next time I text you. Laughter. Kissing again. The rustle of clothes. I turned the phone face down. Let it play in the background while I stared at the ceiling. It wasn't rage I felt. Not heartbreak. Not even shock. It was confirmation. That strange, sickening calm when a suspicion dies and becomes a fact. Everything after that was just strategy. I didn't stop the recording. I let it run. Dinner turned to drinks. Drinks turned to room service. Room service turned into the clink of glass and the slow, low sounds of two people who'd crossed every line and still thought they were being clever. I heard him say, once this deal clears, we won't have to sneak around anymore. And her response? Paul just doesn't think big enough. He's comfortable. Settled. That was the last line I needed. Not because it hurt. Because it told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't cheating to feel loved. She was cheating to level up. I saved the recording to 3 drives. Cloud. Local. Flash. Then I made a second call to someone who would really care about what Ryan was doing in hotel rooms with someone else's wife. The next morning, she was glowing, hair still wavy from the hotel's pillow styling, her favorite oversized sweater, the "I'm so chill and harmless" look. She made herself a smoothie and hummed as if the past 12 hours hadn't happened, as if I hadn't spent the night listening to her undress our marriage with a man who called her a good little investment. She scrolled through her phone, pausing on one message. "Big day," she said, sipping her drink. "Ryan says I might get bumped into lead for the upcoming campaign. He called me crucial. Hope you're ready to move up," I replied without looking up. She smiled, not realizing I was quoting Ryan. "See? I knew you'd come around." I waited until she left. Then I called Megan, Ryan's wife. It wasn't a dramatic call. No shouting. No theatrics. Just two people connecting across the wreckage they hadn't caused, but were now forced to live in. She picked up on the third ring. "Hello, Megan? You don't know me. My name's Paul." "I know who you are." She sounded tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from poor sleep, the kind that comes from months of watching something rot and not being able to name the smell. "Why are you calling?" "Because they're not just screwing each other. They're planning something. Business. Promotions. Positioning. It's not just betrayal. It's political." She was quiet for a second. "I suspected, but I never had proof." "I do. I sent the audio. Not the full tape, just 2 minutes. Enough to hear his voice. Enough to hear her voice. Enough to destroy every excuse he'd rehearsed in the mirror." Megan texted me back 6 minutes later. "I'll handle it from here. I want the confrontation. Tell me where, and I'll help you stage it." "No. I want to do it on my terms." Fair enough. I respected that. But what she did next? I couldn't have scripted it better. 2 days later, Rebecca walked into our kitchen with an expression like she'd seen a ghost. Dropped her bag. Didn't take her coat off. "Something happened," she said. "Yeah?" I asked. HR pulled Ryan into an emergency meeting. Then Megan showed up in the lobby. Security escorted her up. "He hasn't come out of the office since." I poured myself coffee. "You don't say. This is bad, Paul." "For who?" "For me. If he goes down, I'm collateral. I'm tied to his campaign. He vouched for me. Maybe you should have thought of that before you let him tie your campaign dress around a hotel chair." Her face froze. She opened her mouth. No sound came out. Just shock. That I knew. That I wasn't yelling. That I'd already accepted it and was still here, just sipping coffee. "You planted something?" I protected myself. And then, for the first time in weeks, she looked afraid. Not because she got caught cheating. Because she realized I wasn't shocked. I was ready. The day after Megan's visit, the building buzzed like a crime scene. Ryan's name was suddenly off the internal Slack. His calendar wiped. Meetings rescheduled. Company-wide memo from the CEO. Leadership restructuring effective immediately. Rebecca came home early. Hair pulled back tight. Blouse slightly wrinkled. A woman who had walked out of an office she no longer ruled. "He's suspended," she said, tossing her keys on the table. "Pending investigation." "Company policy?" I asked. "Policy in. Well, they have the recording." I tilted my head. "You sent it to them?" "No. Megan did. She emailed the board. Attached the audio. And photos. I didn't even know she had pictures. She's thorough. She's a lunatic. She's married to a lunatic." She adapted. That night, Rebecca sat across from me with a glass of wine she barely sipped. "Do you think I'm done there?" she asked. I stared at her for a long moment. "Why are you asking me?" "Because you're the only one still talking to me like a person." I didn't respond to that. Because she wasn't looking for comfort. She was looking for a lifeboat. And I wasn't handing her one. 3 days later, Ryan was out. Officially terminated for ethical violations. Internal memo leaked online. Anonymous blog picked it up. Screenshots. Quotes. Reddit threads. Rebecca's name wasn't in the release. But it didn't need to be. Everyone who mattered knew exactly who the junior executive involved was. She stopped getting invited to project calls. Her email went eerily silent. She came home at 2 p.m. one day and didn't even pretend it was for remote work. "They're freezing me out," she muttered. "You're surprised. They weren't supposed to find out like this." "How were they supposed to find out?" She didn't answer. Because there was no good version of that answer. And then came the final blow. A letter from corporate legal, reviewing impropriety in team structure and influence in promotions. They were building a case, not just against Ryan, but against her too. Retroactive termination. No severance. No letters. No recommendations. That night, I found her staring at her phone in the dark. She hadn't eaten. Hadn't changed clothes since the morning. You know, she said quietly, you could have just told me you knew. We could have handled it together. You made decisions without me. I handled it how I had to. You didn't have to ruin him. He ruined himself. I just made sure someone was listening. She turned the screen off. Set it down. So what now? Now. I stood up. Now we talk about you. And what you packed, because tomorrow, you're moving out. She tried to talk me out of it. Waited until I was brushing my teeth, like she thought catching me off guard would make me soften. Like I hadn't been expecting this exact moment since the day she walked out in heels for drinks with Ryan. You're serious about me moving out, she said, leaning in the doorway like it was still her house. I didn't even look up from the mirror. You have 2 days. This is my home too. No, this was our home. You made a different choice. She crossed her arms. We've been together 6 years, Paul. You're really going to throw that away? You already did. You just didn't expect consequences. Later that night, she tried again. Lit candles. Put on music she thought I liked, a playlist from 3 years ago. Made my favorite dinner, the way she used to when we were good. I sat across from her and didn't touch the plate. What do you want me to say? She whispered. That I regret it? That I wish I hadn't let it go that far? I didn't respond. Okay. I do. I regret it. Do you regret the affair? I asked, or getting caught? Silence. She set her fork down. You know I believed in us, right? Even when I got distracted. I wasn't trying to replace you. You didn't replace me, I said. You erased me. She blinked hard, once, then again. Her mouth opened slightly like she wanted to speak, but the words weren't forming. You stopped looking at me like I mattered, I said. Like I was holding you back. Like I was the weight you needed to drop before you could rise. She closed her eyes. I got lost, she whispered. You didn't get lost. You took a shortcut. You saw someone who could fast-track your career, and you used him. You just didn't expect the explosion to hit you too. Then I stood up, blew out the candles, picked up my plate, and scraped the food into the trash. Don't mistake my silence for softness, I said. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just waited for the moment you were standing in your own wreckage, and I walked away. That night she slept in the guest room. I heard her crying once. Quiet, like she didn't want the walls to hear. I didn't get up. Didn't check on her. Didn't offer comfort. Because comfort is something you give to someone who's broken, not someone who lit the match. The next morning, I handed her a checklist. Utilities are split. Your name's off the lease. Your forwarding address. I don't have one yet. Figure it out. You've got 36 hours. You don't have to be cruel, Paul. I looked her dead in the eyes. I'm not being cruel. I'm being finished. The morning she moved out, I woke up early. Not because I wanted to say goodbye. Because I wanted to make sure the locks were changed by the time the sun hit the windows. The locksmith showed up at 7:45. Took 15 minutes. Deadbolt, keypad, smart access. She'd already handed over her keys, but she didn't know about the app on her phone. I revoked it from the account while she was still brushing her hair. By 9 a.m., she was stuffing her things into boxes. Sloppily. Like a college student on eviction notice. She kept glancing over at me. Expecting what, exactly? A last-minute apology? Some lingering romantic gesture? A soft, we'll always have the good times? I gave her none of it. Instead, I handed her a folder. What's this? She asked. Instructions. She flipped through it. List of what she was taking. Forwarding address for final utilities. Login sheet for the joint streaming accounts, now under my name only. And at the very bottom, a divorce petition. Already signed. You already filed? It's been ready since the night Ryan called you his bonus asset. She didn't speak for a full 20 seconds. Then, you're making a mistake. I'm making a choice. You'll regret this. I regretted staying silent. That part's over. She left without fanfare. No tears. No tantrum. Just a woman walking to her car with boxes full of clothes and not 1 ounce of dignity left in the trunk. I waited until I heard the engine start. Then I stood in the entryway, looked around the house, and exhaled. Not relief. Not pride. Just stillness. For the first time in months, the air didn't feel charged. The rooms weren't holding secrets. And when I checked the Wi-Fi, her phone no longer appeared on the network. By noon, I blocked her on everything. Phone, email, social, Venmo. You know what peace really is? It's not silence. It's access denied. Later that day, my buddy Mike dropped by. Saw the empty wine rack, the cleaner counters. She finally gone? Gone. Locked out. Signed off. He smiled. You look taller. I laughed, for real, this time. Feels like I finally exhaled for the first time in a year. Hell of a price to breathe. Yeah, but I'm breathing. It took 4 days. 4 days from the moment she walked out of my house to the moment Ryan kicked her out of his. She called me once, blocked. Then she used a different number. I didn't answer, but I read the voicemail. I'm not staying with him. It's complicated. I thought he'd be more supportive. I'll figure something out, but I just thought you should know. I deleted it. Not out of anger. Out of disinterest. What she didn't know. Megan had burned the whole foundation. Ryan wasn't just fired. He was outed. To partners. Investors. Clients. The recording, the same one I saved, had spread. Quietly. Efficiently. People who smiled in his face now copied his name out of email chains. His LinkedIn activity dropped to 0. And Rebecca? She wasn't just ghosted by her industry. She was erased. She tried damage control. Posted a soft, moving forward with new challenges selfie, carefully curated sunlight, coffee mug, laptop open with a blank Google Doc. 12 likes. No comments. 3 of the likes were bots. Then came the texts to Mike. She thought he'd be a weak link. Tell Paul the first was confused. Tell him I still care. Please. Mike sent me a screenshot and added. Should I tell her you're dating someone already? I said no. Let her sit with nothing before she finds out I've moved on. The best part? Her landlord called me. Turns out, she listed me as her long-term emergency contact, back when we were engaged. He said she was 2 weeks late on rent. Said she'd been in and out of the apartment. No work. No pay stubs. Lights still on, but dimmer. I told him. She doesn't have a safety net anymore. He said. Sounds like she expected one. She used it up. And then it came, the final nail. HR called her. Told her the internal investigation would continue. That if she failed to respond to the ethics committee's inquiries, she'd forfeit her professional accreditation. She panicked. Called the firm. Called friends. Nobody answered. Because her name didn't mean anything anymore. Not in emails. Not in resumes. Not in the world she sacrificed everything to climb into. She sent one last message to my backup account. I'm sorry. Not just for what I did, but for thinking I was better. I wasn't. I'm not. You were the one thing I didn't deserve. And now I've lost everything. She didn't ask for a response. And she didn't get one. Because that's what happens when you use people like rungs on a ladder. Eventually, someone pulls the ladder. And you fall. Hard. I never yelled. Not once. Not when she called me small. Not when she lied to my face. Not even when I listened to her in that hotel room, turning our marriage into a negotiation tool between moans and ambition. I didn't explode. I documented. I planned. And then I let her destroy herself. See, when someone expects chaos, silence is power. When they think you'll beg, indifference is punishment. I didn't drag her name. Didn't show up at her job with the receipts. I just sent the right files to the right people. I just stepped back when it all caught fire. And when she finally realized there were no do-overs, no, we can still fix this. I was already gone. A few weeks later, I found myself back at the same kitchen table where she once announced her big dinner meeting. Only this time, the seat across from me wasn't empty. Brooke sat there, pen in hand, helping me map out a new production calendar. Not because she had to, but because she gave a damn. She didn't need to compete with me. Didn't try to manage me. She respected the fire, but never tried to snuff it out. You sure you're done with all that? She asked once, nodding toward the laptop where Rebecca's last apology still sat, unopened. Yeah, I said. It's not a chapter anymore. Just background noise. There's a moment, after the smoke clears, after the last lie dies, where you look in the mirror and realize something. You didn't lose. You outlasted. She wanted a man who'd stay small so she could feel big. Instead, she got a man who stayed quiet. Until the day he didn't. And now? She's out there, wondering how it all slipped through her fingers. I'm here, building something bigger. With someone who never asked me to shrink to fit. Because in the end, I didn't raise my voice. I just raised the stakes. And she wasn't ready to play that game.